This is Paul. Yes. The Mazzoni's account of the Milanese cause célèbre, in which the judges sent several innocent men to the rack with almost no evidence of their guilt. He demonstrated the something earned had seriously distorted legal tradition. Renewed publicly century after century by jurists to whom it is certainly granted a definitive authority over the practice of the courts. Yes. Now, from this evidence and from all we know of the practice of torture in their time, one can undoubtedly conclude that in the interpreters of criminal procedure left the theory and practice of torture much, but much less barbarous than they found it. Of course, it would be absurd to attribute the diminution of evil to one cause alone, but I think among the many causes that it would be reasonable to count the repeated reproofs and warnings, renewed publicly century after century. Well, it looks like in the 21st century we have a new form of torture known as the mental institution. Judge, yes. I wasn't in Sequim, Washington. Did you get the video surveillance camera footage from the bus that morning that I'd slept at the Serenity House homeless shelter? Yes. And I was at the Port Angeles Public Library at 4:48 p.m. Pooch. That the use of a traffic citation is not the right form. Pooch. That you actually have to fill out a domestic violence police report, and there should have been a signature of the alleged victim. Yes. Yes. Now, this powerful argument against torture in the 16th, 17th, and 18th century, where they used to just torture a confession out of a person, yes, I'm thinking that your use of mental health evaluations without the omitting of any evidence of any wrongdoing is just another form of torture. Now, my concern is when I email you every day and you sit there and you act like you don't have to do a fucking thing. You decided you'd rather torture innocent American citizens than enforce their rights. Now, today, I'm thinking about how I'm going to sue you. How I'm going to extract a greater amount of damages for the pain and suffering of depriving me of my sons right now. And then there's this whole concept that I shouldn't have been alone for the last 7 years and 5 months. You know, for those that are in the celibate family, let's say you're a priest. Yes, you don't have sex with anybody. Now, you're one of these eunuchs that God has made a eunuch because law enforcement would not enforce your right to actually have sex with somebody else. Yes! You should disillusion a marriage where if I proposed to a woman, I'd be committing the crime of bigamy. Pooch! I told you that when you don't have proof of actual service or process for court hearings right now, you decided you wanted to torture me and make me a saint so that I would never have the pleasure, right, the sexual gratification of actually having copulation with somebody. I gotta talk to you. Now, I know every day that you do this, I keep telling you, not a good idea, okay? It would have been better if you had enforced the law on November 15th of November 20th of 2015 when I told you, yes, the petitioner didn't sign it. Right. There's no penalty of perjury. Yes, there's no liability for the petitioner because you, as courts and police departments, decided to make up stories because you had to get paid, didn't you? You had expenses. You had to pay for the sex that you were getting. Pooch. Now, my thought was as soon as you know of a civil rights violation, you had an obligation to remove the fraud. Your thought was, nope. We're going to keep him homeless. We're going to torture him. We're going to say that he's crazy, and then we're going to deprive him of his right to have sex with a consensual adult woman. Pooch! Now, I know. Your thought was, I should be going to strip clubs. I should be paying for the sex just like you were. Ouch! Seems like prostitution. But no, in your mind, I have expenses. Is that what she's been saying? You know, I had contacted a certain place in Florida, Peter J. Yes. You know, there's some platinum clubs that I wanted to purchase where a large number of women remove their clothing as an entertainment. Yes. Could you get me all the actual locations, right, where a woman, yes, or a man, pooch, could get paid to remove their clothing? Now, I'm going to need the GPS location of any and all employees of every strip club, every burlesque, and any place where you could pay to get a ticket or maybe give them a little tip. Yes, garter belts, pouch! Now, I know. You're a police officer. You're a sheriff. You always go out to these various clubs, gentlemen clubs. Yes, he does. And your thought is, well, I'm going to pay a stripper to show me her genitals. Yes, so that you can walk home right now.